I got it. Thank you. It's recording. Thank you. Okay, so today I just want us to talk about the biggest flop that all of us coaches. I have been coaching, first of all, for credibility. My name is Nagella Nukuna, Dr. Nagella Nukuna. I am a chemist by profession. I am a fitness enthusiast as my night job or as my weekend job. And lately, I have gathered a lot of certifications in fitness training, being a nutritionist and all of that. So just got a lot of certifications from the International Sports and Science Association. So I'm really credible now, and I feel like I'm in a place to go out and reach our community and really say the truth of what wellness is lacking. I would say for the past 20 years, I have been doing it wrong. And the majority of us coaches, unfortunately, have been doing it wrong. And it's not just in the African community, in every community, because we have lacked and we have not focused on the most important aspect of wellness, which is your mind. There's a lot of it being said around. It's being said as a cliche. Mindfulness. But what does that really mean? What does that really mean? If you think about just setting your mindset to do something, right? How do you push yourself? How do you push yourself to get to that mindset? What are the tangibles that you need to actually get there? When you talk to a lot of people nowadays, and you say, oh, come on, why aren't you getting to the right weight? Or why aren't you achieving what you really want to achieve in terms of your wellness? Or why are you keeping yourself unhealthy when you know fully well that you are at risk of everything out in the world? It's all over the place. It's everybody knows about it. But for us to risk our lives, to risk our human bodies, which is the only home that we live in, there's something else amiss, right? There's some other difficulty that we really cannot achieve. The number one answer to why will you not exercise is, I don't have time. I don't have time. Some of us from schools like Our Lady of Lourdes in Cameroon, we used to wake up every day in the morning and do what we call cross country. And I remember after leaving Lourdes, the first thing I said is, thank goodness I will never do this again in my life. Not knowing that that was the best training that I ever had. I put it akin to going to church because we went to church every day. Please, Lord, forgive me. Those are the two most important things that I know that exist now in life: loving my God and doing cross country or working out, keeping myself. So it's really important that we coaches, and I'm going to take the blame here, all of us coaches, all of us nutritionists, all of us fitness enthusiasts, we have failed our clients, we have failed our families, we have failed our friends, because we have not focused on the most important thing is, how do you get your mind set to the point where you can say, okay, I got this. Now think about every marriage, right? Some of us are in marriages, some of us are out of marriages, some of us are trying to get into marriages. I mean, the first 5 years is usually the part, after you go through those first 5 years, you can confidently say you would stick to it. So is fitness. When you get to that mindset after 5 years and you maintain that mindset, then you can say fitness is fun. A lot of coaches tell their people, oh, come on, go work out. We need to make it fun. Oh, no, it's not. My brother Cool will tell you, it's not always fun. Let's stop lying to people that it's fun. Let's stop lying to people that you have to make it fun. It's only fun after you have flow, after you get to the point. I find it fun. We have to coach in terms of the stages where people are. If I tell my 300-pound friend who comes home and sits on the couch that let's go exercise, is it fun? Let's be honest, she's never going to say that's fun. But if I could go to my brother, Cool, whom I know is lifting, 50, 100 pounds all over the place, and I say, Cool, let's go exercise, he's going to jump up and say, yes. So fitness is staging. We have to know where everybody's stage is and use the right language, the right empathy, the right refrain, the right understanding to coach them to get to the final spot where we all are, which is the flow. My big sister, Auntie Irene, is there. She's on the call. She's been with me for a while. She's now in the flow. She was 240 pounds when she started. She's now 140 pounds and has kept it. She's in flow. That's where we want to get everybody at. So the title of my talk says Zone In for Wellness. By zoning in, it means really getting to that focus point. And I'm going to read to you what the dictionaries tell you about flow. Flow is really when you have an intense and focused concentration on the present moment, and you're hyper-focused. You're merging your action with awareness. You have the feeling of oneness. You have a quiet mind. You have loss of any reflection of self-consciousness. You have a sense of personal control. You are capable of completing any task. You have complete immersion in your activity. You experience the activity as intrinsically rewarding. You get to this autotelic experience, which is the experience of the activity as its own reward. When you start thinking of working out as a reward, that is flow. When you start thinking of exercising and sweating and sleeping and resting and getting refreshing and rewarding, that is flow. That is where we all need to get to. So for the rest of this talk, I will focus a lot on how do we get to this flow. It's simple. It's simple. Let me move on to my next slide. Let me know if you can see this. It's taking a while to. I hope this will be the best 1 hour of all of our fall. Okay. So here is the point I was making. There is $1 million understatement in wellness. There is a huge disconnect between the problem, which is obesity, overweight, and the solution. And that's what we're going to try to get onto today. So mindfulness, which is that flow that I've been talking about, that hyper focus on what you want to achieve, only comes from you figuring out what your why is. Why do you want to be well? Why? Why do you feel that you want to do it? Is it for your children? Is it for yourself? Is it for your self-worth? Is it for you to look good in clothes? Is it because you want to be able to walk with your grandchildren? I mean, you have to have a reason. You have to have a very strong why that hits your core. And I'm going to tell you what my why is. My why is just inherent to who I come from, where I come from my genetics. I know that if I mess around, everything is going to fall apart. So I have looked at my genes, I have looked at my parents, and I have looked at everything around me, and I know that I have all the risk factors. That's my why. My why is that I want to be able to hold my grandchildren, knock on wood, for at least 20 years. So until you determine what your why is, you don't even bother to get started. Now, in picking your why, it has to be something that is autonomous. It has to be something that's coming from you. It cannot be guided by what anybody sees in you. It cannot be guided by just the externalities. It has to be guided by something innately from your soul. Something that's going to carry you through the rest of your life, because guess what? Wellness is a lifelong journey. There are no shortcuts. So what are the three pillars? You have your mindfulness, you have your fitness, and you have nutrition. You can't do one without the other. You can go ahead and take one out. You can get your mind as fit, as ready as possible. Without fitness and nutrition, you're wasting your time. So you have to have all three of them working in sync, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So you have to sync all three equally to attain flow. So there's some people who are walking to the gym, right? They say, oh, okay, they've taken that one step. They've decided to go to the gym, and there's a little bit of rain on the road, and they're like, oh, that's a sign. I have to go back home. Basically, you have the fitness thing, you have the fitness there, you had the intention to go, you've probably not eaten, you've probably taken time to eat well, but your mind was completely weak. And the easiest excuse to get out of going to the gym, you chose that. You said, oh, that must be a sign from God. The mind is not there. So we have to be mindful. How do we become mindful? There are three things that we want to achieve. Please mute your calls, mute your phones, please. There are three things that we want to achieve by being mindful. First of all, I talked about the word flow. Flow really means that you are committed, you are in sync with your soul, and you have decided that nothing is going to stop you from getting well. You have a good goal, you have decided what your why is, and now you just need anybody. You either need your mind to guide you, or better still, you need the people around you to guide you, or you need a coach to guide you. There are no two ways around it. If you don't have people around you who are thinking the same way as you are, and you are not yet at that 5-year point, you will fall back. I can say that without any doubt, unequivocally, all the people that I have worked with, I have failed them because they have gone back and the pounds are piling up. Maybe 10%. 10% of them have succeeded. But once they step out of my milieu, they go back to their old ways because we did not focus on mindfulness. We did not focus on getting them to that sync point. So I am shouting out there to every coach, please, when you get people under your tutelare to teach them how to become well, make sure you give them 5 years of mindful coaching before you let them go. Make sure they have attained 5 years of being in flow before you let them go. I don't care if it's free or if they're paying. There's also another thing called commitment that we're going to talk about. But the first thing you have to do is make sure you understand that everybody is at a different stage. So you get the right questions at the beginning. As you're getting them under your care or under your coaching, make sure you know what stage they are. Make sure they have their why. Make sure you have the right motivational questions for them to understand what stage, whether they're in that pre-contemplative stage or the contemplative stage, or whether they're in the preparation stage or in the action stage or in the maintenance stage. Those are the 5 stages that you have to look at. For a pre-contemplative stage, the way you coach that person is very different from the way you coach someone in maintenance. They're different theories. These are things that you would have to learn from someone who is actually a behavioral coach. Please, all fitness coaches out there, go out there and learn a thing or two about behavioral coaching, because that's what's going to change our community and get everybody back on board. I started this discussion today by talking about who we were when we were children, who we were when we used to go out there and play like there's no tomorrow. We don't have that in the community. We cannot afford to do that. It's not safe to do that. So we have to look for other ways of changing our mindset to be able to do what we need to do for ourselves, and most importantly, for our children who are now facing the second pandemic. I have to say my son was overweight, but because of my examples in the house, because of my husband's examples in the house, he has completely turned things around. And he's probably at less than 15% fat in his body. 17 years old. I did not have to tell him a thing. He just watched. And he did it. So we parents, by not telling our children the perils of weight, please mute your phone if you don't mind. By not telling our children the perils of weight, by not telling our children the advantages of... Could someone mute your phone, please? I don't know who that is. So by not telling our children the disadvantages of being overweight and letting them eat as much as they want, all the wrong things, is like causing them suicide. I say this emphatically. I have gone out there and I have seen kids who 2 years ago were at their correct weight, and within this pandemic, they have all ballooned. Can you imagine what's happening to their hearts? So we need to take this seriously. It's not about us anymore. It's about the next generation. I mean, it's about us because we are facing the perils of being overweight. So coaches, follow this staged approach. Let's try to get all of our family members to be in this same flow that we are in. And the last thing I want to talk about here on this slide is this concept of commitment. If you tell any of your clients, if you tell any of your family members, you have to commit. What does that mean? It means absolutely nothing. You have to commit. It means absolutely nothing. The way to make someone commit is to make sure that they have penalties, is to make sure that they can actually use what you call hard or soft commitments. What is a hard commitment? A hard commitment is one where you actually put your money where your heart lies. And it's not about paying a coach. It's not about paying someone. We're not here to make money. We're here to change our community. It's about putting that money somewhere where you're not going to be able to touch. Let me give you an example. If you decide to have a coach, or if you decide to have a referee, whom I would suggest most of you should do, you can have an agreement with your coach. I will give you $1,000 for this year, but for every £1 I lose, I want $50 more, $50 back. That's a hard commitment. For every £1 I don't lose, I lose $50. You can start making commitments like that. You don't have to do it with a coach. You can do it with something that you intend to do. I will put $1,000 in an account that I cannot touch. For every £1 that I gain, I give $50 to a charity that I want. Those are hard commitments. We have to start thinking of how we progress our community with our bodies. How can you connect your body to your community? What's the approach you can take? Something that will be tangible at the end that you will say, oh my God, I lost 30 pounds. That 30 pounds, I can see it in some activity that I've done for the Cameroonian community. Now you have a linkage. You have something that has actually connected your success to something tangible. On the other hand, we are used to doing soft commitments, right? Soft commitments usually don't work. Oh, I'm going to go pay for a gym membership. How many of you go there? I'm going to have a New Year resolution. How many of you keep it after February? Those are soft commitments. They do work for people who have already attained flow. They don't work for people who are still in that early stage, the pre-contemplative stage, the contemplative stage, or the preparation stage. Those people, soft commitments don't work for. You have to be hard lines for them. So again, flow is an optimal state of consciousness where we feel our best and perform our best. That's a direct quote. And what do you get when you attain flow? You get autonomy. What does autonomy mean? Autonomy mean? It means nobody can steal your confidence. No, it's yours. Once you attain it, nobody can take it away from you. Nobody can speak bad about you. Nobody can tell you that you're not gorgeous. Nobody can do that. It's yours. You earned it. That's autonomy. Mastery. Mastery means you've mastered the art. You know how good it is for your body. You know when you make a mistake or when you fall for 1 week and you start eating junk food. You know you can turn back really quickly because you've mastered what it does to your body. Personally, the pandemic and the loss of my dad made me fall apart a little bit. But because I had attained mastery, I turned it around really quickly. And why? Because I was in sync. I knew there was a higher power out there. Now, even stronger with my dad up there, I cannot fail him. I taught him how to be healthy. We taught each other how to be healthy. How can I fail him? You have to have those connectivities that keep you in that mastery state. And then, of course, your purpose. Once you get into that flow, there are lots of books out there about like a purpose-driven life. Once you get into a flow, your purpose becomes very clear to you. What is my purpose? My purpose is to make everybody else healthy. It's like a calling from God. So when you become autonomous, you become a master of your art, you know what your purpose is. And that's where we all want to strive to get to. So again, commitments, hard and soft commitments. Stick with the hard commitments, especially at that earlier stage. So let's talk about the next pillar. We've already talked about being mindful, and we can stress about that a lot more. I'm hoping that we have a lot of questions. But what about this concept of fitness? So as I said, you know, we coaches turn around and we say sometimes, oh, you have to design your workout to be fun. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It has to be fun. But again, as I said, the only time when it will be really fun is when you're in sync, when you have that flow, when you cannot stop yourself. There's no way any day of my life I will not wake up at 6 a.m. and go work out. Just won't happen because I know that for the rest of the day, I will be a mess when I don't do it. So you have to have that state of mind where you know that it's like brushing your teeth. Some of us don't brush our teeth these days now because we have this mask on. But when these masks are gone, the stink is going to come back, right? So we need to do something that's going to keep us in the flow. So what are the 3 points of, you know, when your coach tells you you have to make your exercise fun. Oh, you can dance, you can do other things. Yeah, that's true. But you really have to design a program that has a total body workout that touches all of your muscles and all of the parts of your body. You need to design it, whether it's done weekly or whether it's done daily. You need to design a program that's going to work for every part of the body, which involves your cardio, your flex, and your strength. Never mind, I look in that picture because it looks like it's photoshopped. I don't look that way. And even if I do, I feel good. Most people think weightlifting makes you look bulky. No, not for we women just don't have it in us to be bulky, except you start taking some of the other things that people take to get bulky. So please lift weights. My personal story, I am at risk of every bone disease out there. My mother has it. I know that if I don't get strong, I will have it. You know what your risk factors are? As adults, we lose our bone density. So you need to strengthen your bones. You need to strengthen your muscles. You need to build more muscle mass. No matter what the scale tells you, muscle weighs more than fat. So you may be building muscle, building your strength, and the scale tells you you're gaining weight, but you're actually losing fat. Fat is the enemy. So whatever you do, you have to design a fitness routine that incorporates your cardio, your flexibility, and your strength. So no, exercise is not fun when you have not reached your flow. So I will hate to hear it one more time when people say, oh, it's a lot of fun. It's not. It's hard work, but it's fulfilling. So let's switch that word fun to fulfilling. And what do you need to get a full body exercise? So the concept of individual differences. None of us are born the same. We all have individual genetics, individual differences. So what works for one person is not going to work for the other. Cool, I hate to pick on you, but you're my brother. I can tell you not everybody is going to have your physique no matter what they do, but they can strive to be there. So it's about your genetics as well. So you have to build your exercise routine based on your genetics and how far you can go to get there. Now, there is no exercise total body workout that is not going to take this concept of the overload principle. What's the overload principle? We have to work against resistance. You can't just go running every day and think you're going to get to your full weight. Yes, you will lose some weight, but after a while, your body is going to need you to strengthen up. Your muscles are going to need to be strengthened. You don't want muscle atrophy. So you need to add some resistance. That's why we lift weights. That's why we do body weight exercises. That's why we do planks. That's why we do squats. All of those body weight exercises are equally good. Then the use and disuse principle. The minute you stop, the minute you get off that flow, your body gets back to even worse than where it was before. And then the general adaptation syndrome is that you really need to work on it consistently to get your body to adapt stage by stage to everything you do. So if you're able to do 10 push-ups today and you continue doing it, tomorrow you may be able to do, in about 6 months, you may be able to do 20 and you're not exerting as much doing 20. In about a year, you'll be able to do 60. So your body adapts as you get better and better. So these concepts are concepts that you have to utilize. You cannot just exercise without working against resistance. You cannot stop because once you stop, your body gets back worse than it was before. And you have to keep adapting with the changes. So as you do more, your body requires more. As you get better, your body requires better. So keep improving. If you were walking yesterday, Maybe next week you're jogging. Maybe the week after you're sprinting. You have to keep increasing your intensity. You have to stay at it. You have to work on it. You have to enjoy it. You have to get to the point where you're enjoying it. Now, the other thing I'm going to say about fitness or about working out is please do not give yourself a lot of choices. So we all did math, right? We all did permutations. And, most people will say, oh, it's best to work out in the evening. Some people will say, oh, I can wait and work out in the morning, or I have a chance to work out in the afternoon. When is the best time for you to work out? Nobody has an answer to that question. But I can tell you, the more choices you have, the less of a chance you will do it. Now, most fitness coaches, sometimes they say, oh, you should work out like 3 days a week, 5 days a week. I say work out every day. I say do 20 minutes every day. Because if I say 3 days a week, it could be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it could be Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, it could be Monday mornings. So there are too many choices. The more choices you have, the less you will do it. Just stick to one thing. Just do it every day. Then you don't have the choices. And when do you have to do it? The mornings are the best because that's when you have the least distraction. Now, this will not work for everybody. That concept of, individual differences still exists. But I'm telling you, the greatest chance of sticking to it is doing it in the morning. You have less commitments in the morning. You have less things on your mind in the morning. You've just woken up. Now, if you're someone who works at night, turn it around, switch it around. So this can work for everybody. So as I said, we have to follow a staged approach. It's fulfilling. It's not fun. It's fun only when you've gotten the flow. Minimize your choices. Change your different workouts. Make sure you have a diversity of workouts. Make sure you work with your coach to give you a total body workout, and then stay the course. Get trained to avoid injury. Spend some money, get a coach to coach you so you don't get that back pain. You don't get that hamstring stretch. You really need to be able to work out professionally, correctly to avoid injury. And most importantly, you should rest it out. Your muscles need to be rested for them to perform maximally the next time. So let's move on to nutrition. So we've talked about mindfulness, we've talked about fitness. What about nutrition? So I'm just going to point, there's so much you can say about nutrition, but I'm just going to point to the most valuable thing that we can do. Our food is fantastic. Our food is probably the best in the world, but our food is also dangerous. Our food was better when my grandmother in Naka in Bali cooked it than the way we cook it now. The last time I went to Bali, hopefully we can do it soon again, she just went to her garden, picked up some beans. We all did it together. I could hear the stream flowing. I'm trying to give you a picture here. I could hear the water in the stream flowing. She had some, like 1 or 2 Maggi, just a bit of oil. She put it in the beans, and that was the best thing that I've eaten in ages. Almost no oil, just a little njanga and a little bit of Maggi and just fresh beans straight from the garden. That's why I'm a gardener now. That's why I plant my own food. So you have a plate in front of you. I mean, we're concerned about counting calories. I would suggest you get a 9-inch plate at the biggest, and you break it up like this. This is the new guidelines for how we should serve our food. So you don't have to count calories. You don't have to, yes, I've written a book. The book focused on counting the calories of our meals. So yeah, go ahead and get that book. I have it down on the last slide, how you can purchase that book. But the important thing really is to understand how you can measure your food. You have to learn how to measure your food from how your stomach feels. If you're full, stop eating. That's the number one measure of how much you eat. The second measure is just how your plate looks. And please, you don't have to empty the plate when you're done. Your stomach is not a dustbin. So the grains that you eat should be, complex carbohydrates. You don't want any of these sugars. You don't want any of this white stuff. I try not to eat anything white. It eliminates a lot of things from the African cuisine, but you may want to do that because all those things have alternatives. So make sure you use your sweet potatoes, things that have low glycemic index. Your proteins should be about a quarter of your plate. And please don't go with the fatty proteins, go with the lean proteins. Your vegetables should be cooked healthily with very little oil. And then have your fruits that are low sugar fruits like berries and pawpaw. And then make sure you, especially for us women, make sure you're having your 3 servings of dairy. I am a yogurt fan. I do plain yogurts most of the time. If I get hungry sometimes at night, I would just do a plain yogurt. So that's the guide. It's very simple. Don't eat till you get full. Only eat when you're hungry and eat the right types of food. Now, it turns out that our African meals are usually not separated out this way because when you make ndole, your ndole has the vegetable in it, it has the peanut in it, it has the fat, it has the meat, it has everything in it. So now you know you're already filling a plate with just your ndole. So watch out. Watch out what else you're eating with it. So if someone wants to join me, we can write a book saying eat this and not that. So clearly you can see my home food, fufu and jamanjama. That's an 8-inch plate. And I would tend to say most people would want to eat 2 bundles of the fufu. And I would say, no, cut it down and fill your plate with the vegetable, tomato-laced vegetable, not oil-laced vegetable. And of course, the arrow on the right-hand side, I would say that plate would cost you a good 1,000 calories because the oil by itself is about 150 calories in that plate or more. And there's no reason to have that much oil in it. The one in the middle is my plate with almost no oil. And it tastes just as good. That's what adds the fat to our mid areas. The perils of simple sugar, oil, and I was going to bring green juice in here, the alcohol. So I have that picture in my book at the top right there with the beignets. Yeah, it's what we call one of our desserts back home or something we would have for breakfast. But now you notice they're sprinkling sugar on it. And you can actually make that beignet with better carbohydrates, with grains that are better, that would reduce the amount of insulin that's being generated in your body because of the high sugar. Now, if you are in the pre-contemplative stage of your wellness journey, if you are at that stage where most of the time you're on your couch, you're 250 pounds and above, you have a BMI, a body mass index of more than 30. I'm speaking to a lot of us on this call. You should not be touching alcohol. I'm sorry to say that it is a decree that has to be made to everybody who is that unhealthy. You should try to stay away from alcohol. It shades your thinking. It stops you from getting to this flow that I'm talking about, and you only end up adding the pounds. And then, of course, the oils are really high in calories, and they're just so bad for your meals. So if we can work on taking away all of this white sugar, all of this excess alcohol, and all of these excess oils, that's going to be a huge part to us attaining our wellness. And then the late night eating. that triggers those hunger hormones like ghrelin and packs the fat. I was at a funeral last night. I left at midnight. I don't think I've had enough sleep. I'm not performing at my optimum. It's just a way of life. We have to go to these things, but you have to find a way to reduce the frequency of how many you go to. And when you go, you don't have to stay till 3 a.m. Go back home, get some rest, and stop eating all those late night meals. Because think about it, the later you eat and the more of all those sugar-laden foods that you eat, as you get home and you go to sleep, you wake up the next morning, the first thing you want to do is you want to eat more food. And the circle just continues, and that's how we gain weight. It's just as bad as fat dieting. If I want to tell everybody in the Cameroonian community to become fat, I tell them to follow a diet. Diets, except you are at your flow, do not work. So coaches, let's stop telling people to follow diets. They don't work, except you are at flow. So I'm going to, engage you all in some scenarios now, and I'm using Oprah, my model, as to provoke a discussion. A lot of us do these yo-yo diets. And finally, she has realized that they don't work, so she's just stopped doing them. I mean, that's one of the most intelligent women in the world. We might as well agree with her. They don't work. Because you turn back and you gain it all again. So why do it? Why not just follow all the theories that we have said? Use your my plate, get to the flow, exercise, take away the choices, just do it consistently. Strive for 2-pound loss or 1 pound loss a week, and just consistently get to that 5-point mark where you're never going to gain the weight again. That's the goal for everybody on this call. Stop the yo-yo diets. They don't work. So I'm going to give a scenario here. This is a case study. We always like case studies. So a client is 40 years old, and the weight has been creeping up slowly. And it's so much harder to lose the weight relative to when the client was younger. In the past 10 years, they've just amassed like 40 pounds, and they're getting to the point where they're thinking of weight loss surgery. I've given up any possibility to lose weight on my own, so I'm opting for weight loss surgery. So as a coach, someone comes to me and they bring this option up, and I say, so I do all the motivational things that I can do. I will not say no to weight loss surgery. I can never make that decision for anyone, because keep in mind, mindfulness, again, has to have autonomy. You have to know what you're doing. So if you've started thinking of weight loss surgery, maybe that's the right thing for you, but I can guarantee you weight loss surgery has the same behavioral tendencies like weight loss. It's the same thing. It will come back. The weight will come back if you don't have mindfulness, nutrition, and fitness. So it's the same thing. I can't stop you from doing it. It has its virtues. It has its vices. My very good mentor, Dr. Fobi, would recommend this for the right candidates. But the question is, if you don't have those behavioral changes, it's not worth it. So the same concepts come here. So what will I do with this client? So this client is struggling to lose the weight and is almost giving up. So I would say this client is at the pre-contemplative stage and really needs that motivation, that empathy to work with them step by step, giving them commitments to use, hard commitments, and really engaging them and making sure that they gain their mastery, their autonomy, and their purpose. It's almost like hypnotizing them to get back to where they get their flow. So weight loss coaching and wellness coaching is not about telling people to work out or to eat right. It's about changing their mindsets to be able to do those other two things. It's about changing their mindsets to even get the surgery and keep the weight off. So you notice how I did not go against surgery here, but I'm not a proponent. I will not do it, but I will not stop anyone from doing it. It has its virtues. However, you have to have that behavioral mindset to be able to maintain it. This is the biggest statement that is made when people don't want to exercise. I'm tired. I do not have time. My work schedule is hectic. I am a mom or a dad who works late nights, and when I come home, I am too tired to work out. Again, that's a completely good example of someone who just needs all the support to get them to the point where they know that you can get rid of tiredness by working out. Change the fun to fulfillment. Change that concept of exercising for fun to exercising for fulfillment. Take that person with you to go work out. Make sure that they're on your phone. Make sure that they have one of these watches that you can actually monitor what they're doing. Give them motivational questions. If there are things that trigger them to not work out or trigger them to go to that refrigerator and pick up the wrong thing at nighttime, that triggers them to stay up at night chatting instead of resting. What are those triggers? What are those things that make them do that? You, as the coach, you need to know what those triggers are to guide them and to change those triggers to something else that's positive. It's all about mindfulness. It's all about changing that mindset and getting to the point where you would not be tired. There's never a tired, person in flow. When you are in flow, the word tiredness does not exist. You work out, you burn it, and you go to sleep. And you wake up fulfilled the next day. So make it a routine, make it intense, make it part of like brushing your teeth, enjoy it, and you become in flow. I've been speaking for almost, I didn't check my time, almost an hour. So I will leave you all to think about it and send any questions my way. Let's have a discussion. Are there any questions from anybody?
Nagella, I have a question.
Nicole, thank you.
I thank you so much for such a wonderful, amazing presentation and for really talking about the aspect of mindfulness. That is so key because many people want to get healthy, but we're not always mindful and staying in that flow, which you refer to. And so those people who stay in the flow are those who really achieve the outcomes that they desire. But I also find that a lot of people just don't know what to do. Because when I struggled with high blood pressure for many years and I was on medicine, I noticed my heart rate lowering. My heart was getting really weak. I didn't want to be in that condition, but I did not know what to do. So I think maybe first telling people what to do and then helping them develop that flow, that mindset is really key. So I don't know if you have anything to say about that.
That is so true. And you've just summarized, that's why I like you, Nicolene. You've just summarized the whole, that's the take-home message. We cannot do it on our own. We all need help. We all need support. We all need the whole, our spouses, we all need to do it together. but really the guidance of getting that mindset, it's actually a whole, you have to follow some steps to get there. And it could take me 2 hours to describe those steps. So it involves really having someone follow you up with motivational questions. What are those triggers that I've mentioned? It requires someone being very empathetic to you, understanding your why, understanding your story, and really designing a how for you. That's why I do recommend people to have coaches. There are many of us in this Cameroonian community. There are many of us. You have Dr. Enakai Yembe, you have Sandy, there's a young, the men tend to want to go to men. So there's a young Ade. There are many of us, there's Kingsley Sense. There are people that you can just go talk to. There's some whom we just see who are fit. Please reach out to someone. There's Cool, who is on this call, who is really helping our Delaware community here, just to motivate and inspire them. So Nicolene, even you are, I see you with your yoga routines and all the nice supplements that you have out there, really showcasing wellness, what we need to do to affirm our bodies, to accept who we are, and really work with our bodies to gain wellness. Please use all these role models out there to attain, to first of all discuss your why, because again, that why comes from you. Why do you want to do this? And then we can work on giving you the how and really guide you towards getting to that flow. There is I can call the flow akin to, I don't know what kind of analogies you would use, but when you get to that point where you're about to write an exam that you have done so well in preparing for that exam, and you go into that exam and you're a master of it, that's an example of flow. That's where you need to be, where you are really in sync with that subject, that you know it all. And at the end of the exam, you come out and you feel like, wow, I did it. That's flow. That's flow. So flow requires you to be completely in sync with your needs and completely in sync with how you need to do it. And yes, you cannot do it on your own. You cannot do it on your own if you're at that stage where you have heart problems and you cannot fix it yourself. You need your doctors, and then you need a coach to guide you towards attaining health. So please reach out to us, reach out to all the people out there, reach out. Dr. Nicolene Ambe is out there promoting just how you wake up and you feel good about yourself, the supplements that you need to take, right? I am out there promoting, just eating right and exercising and enjoying your exercise. Cool is out there promoting strength, weightlifting, and, really doing things that are push your resistance. There is something to that. There is something to three of us because we are all in flow. You cannot tell me that I'm not gorgeous. Nobody can tell me that. No matter how I look in the mirror and I see my flaws, I am dead gorgeous. So affirm what you have attained. And the only way you get there is by getting to flow. So join us, join all of these leaders in our community, and let's do it together. We can all get there. I'm prideful. I'm a 50-year-old, Bali girl, mother of 3, wife to a gorgeous man who is also in his 50s, but has no fat on his body. My son has no. I am not prideful. I am just saying that everybody can get there. Everybody can get there. And please, 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 it is sinful to watch our children becoming obese. It is sinful. It is sinful. Get them help. If there are no further questions, I'm going to go back to my poem so we can wrap up and we can move on with our Saturdays. So at the beginning of the show, I read this poem and I want to just do it again so it can go on record. So it's a poem that I wrote just a few days ago. Hopefully I can find it. It's so recent, I don't even have a title to the poem. But I think it speaks to what we need to do, how we need to get out here. Okay, there's a raised hand. Edith, you have a question? Okay.
Trying to unmute. Yes, I do have a question. Sorry.
Okay.
There's a lot of talk going around now about the intermittent fasting and how that helps with just keeping the weight down. I guess we have to combine that with exercise, of course. But do you have anything to say about that and how that goes in with achieving mindfulness and having that help you in the process of trying to do the weight control and stuff like that?
Thank you so much for that question. That's a really good one. And I will start by saying I actually, again, as I coach people, I figure out what stage they are in. And based on the stage, I would recommend intermittent fasting for some people, but I wouldn't recommend it for everybody. So intermittent fasting, for those who don't know, is a means of actually controlling how much time you eat, not how much you eat, but the time frame that you eat at. So you can either do the 16-8, or you can do the 1 meal a day, or you can do the 16-8 just means you fast for 16 hours and you eat for 8 hours, which is the most popular form of intermittent fasting. So if you go to bed, say at 8 o'clock, or so 10 o'clock, you try to stop eating, say at 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock, and then you can stay. So if you sleep till 8 the next morning, or if you sleep till 6 the next morning, you give yourself another 4 hours, and that takes care of your 16 hours, right? And then for the 8 hours before 6 p.m. or before 8 p.m., depends on what time you use, you eat. But I would say it works when you eat healthy. You just don't eat all the high sugar and the alcohol and the fats that we've talked about. So you eat healthy meals, but you eat enough. And then for 16 hours, you fast. The advantage of intermittent fasting is that you would lose weight. You would lose weight. There are no studies that have shown any detrimental effects to your health. It's actually been shown that it sharpens your brain function. So for those who are probably in the preparation phase, so as I said, there are 5 stages. You have the pre-contemplative, the people who if you talk to them about weight loss, they say that they make statements like, oh, the people who have done it, some of them have died as well. You know, those kind of people who are just in the denial stage. So that pre-contemplative stage and the contemplative stage, I will not recommend intermittent fasting for them. For those who are in preparation, action, and maintenance, yes, I'm sure they can maintain intermittent fasting. I hope I've answered your question. It does help you lose weight if you're able to maintain the healthy habits, the good nutrition, the good sleep, and all of those other things that come in place, right? So you have to have the full package for it to work. There are some people who have been intermittently fasting for years and they're still overweight. Those people they have not been staged properly, and they shouldn't be doing intermittent fasting. Edith, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions? If not, let me passionately read my poem. Again, as I said, I read this at the beginning, but just in case some of you missed it. So thrive on countryside, pals, cause your city comrades cry. Computers, machines, drive-thrus, and rides, designed with genius to make hard times slide, giving no thought to their vices and plight, laze and sloth, lacing fat on our inner thighs. So ride on, you village pal, as flab the city folk piles. Our children, young as 12, fitness trials they flunk, tender hearts at risk, akin to mom and dad's clogs. We failed woefully in nurturing and teaching with pride the joy we felt when we sweated as a child. Oh, the good old days when playtime was wild. So stay, you village pal, for the city is vile. Obese, overweight, body parts oversized. What the heck? Why are we hurting our hearts on overdrive? Surely we know of our food that less is more, knowing full well that calorie deficit is required, not by couch potation and gluttony desired. So ride on, village pal, for the city is awry. Psych arbiters, fitness guides, new enthusiasts, come on now. $1 billion world, it's time to turn this bourbon tragedy around. Folks getting fatter, hearts weakening, muscles atrophying, tummies widening, COVID expanding, health eroding, time's out, no more defenses. Like climate change, urgency calls. So rest assured, village pal, the fight to be like you stalls. Tangible answers are here, now or never. Mindfulness is prime. Your how steered by your why, tenderly nurtured by a true guide. With empathy, motivating, inspiring, listening, refraining, stage matching, coaching, meal planning, and flow rearing, focusing, zoning, exercising, nutritioning, stress rejecting, goal setting, measuring, rewarding, and affirming. For so is the world of the village where we were all dwelling. So come join us, village pal, for the city needs cajoling. Thank you. So I will end by one final statement. When you have attained your flow, and in the process of attaining flow, in the process of getting well again, make sure you get goals. Small goals lead to bigger goals, right? Every step of the way, get another goal and make sure you achieve those goals as you go along with proper refrain, proper commitments, hard commitments. And then as you get to that stage, halfway towards your flow, make sure you measure. Take your weight from time to time, measure your fat content. You use the skin calipers and measure your fat. Measure, 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 because measure inspires. As the weight drops, you get inspired. As your muscle content increases, you get inspired. As your fat content decreases, you get inspired and you do more. And more importantly, reward yourself. Reward yourself with all kinds of affirmations. Wake up in the morning and tell yourself, first thing in the morning, how good you are. Thank you. Thank you all for joining. I hope I have been able to at least convince all of you, or even if it's just one or two people, to really take care of yourselves. Let's fight this second pandemic that's brewing in our community. If you have any questions, if you have any follow-up, please reach out to me. If you want to join Nagella's Transformational Sanctuary, reach out to me. Just grab my phone number right there and give me a call. I'm on all, these are all my handles. And get the book, Learn How to Eat Our African Food. Auntie Irene, I need one comment from you.
Okay. Okay, for starters, that's a lovely presentation, and we miss you. Yeah, and today is my husband's birthday.
Oh, wow.
And I had my 65th birthday on the 17th of October. So
Excellent. I cannot believe that. Looking like a 30-year-old girl.
yeah. Yes, I've learned some tricks I can pass on to some people. When I go to those late parties at night, I don't want to be not being, I want to be social. What I do is I take my plate and I put some items in it. And I just hold the items and I'm talking and I'm making, like, well, I can pick like a piece of vegetables, chicken, those sort of stuff. Because if it's late, I don't like to eat after 6 p.m. So if it's late, after 6 p.m., I take those few things and items and then some water and I'm talking and then I'll be talking and making as if I'm eating, but I'm not really actually eating. And then when nobody's looking, I'll just take the plate and put in the garbage.
You're in flow.
I don't feel antisocial.
That's flow. You can stay away from at 6 p.m. Not many.
I don't feel antisocial. So
thank you, Auntie Irene. Marie, you have a question. So great to have you. That's my butt.
Okay, thanks.
I will say something. I have a question too.
Sure.
Hi, Dr. Nagella. I really don't have a question. I just want to appreciate you. I just want to say thank you. I just want to say I've seen you, how resilient, how consistent, and how energized and passionate you are in doing what you're doing. Every day I keep telling myself, I will, and I'm always that person who doesn't
at that pre-contemplative state.
who is always thinking and wanting, but never doing. And I'll just encourage you to keep encouraging. This is great. This is wonderful.
I'm going to take you, Marie, if you would let me take you under my coaching. I want you as an example.
Yes, that's what I was just about to say.
Excellent.
This one is a motivation for me right now to get out of this daydreaming and do something for myself.
That's right. Oh, the questions are coming. Cool. Thank you, Marinwell. Thank you.
Thank you.
Information. Thank you. Cool. Question.
Good
My brother.
morning or good afternoon, and thank you for great presentation, and also thank you for bringing me up. I really appreciate what you've done. I don't have a question. I just want to thank you and tell you that you and your family are a great example and leadership, leading from the front. I really appreciate what you guys are doing, and this presentation was one wonderful presentation. Keep on doing what you're doing. We're all behind you. We love you. Great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Cool. Thank you so much, my brother. Natalie, you have a question?
Oh, hi.
Hi, long time. Hi, Natalie. Natalie and I have gone through the same things, especially during this pandemic. Ashia, Mama.
Yeah, that's true. And it's too hard.
I
Anyway,
know.
I really
Natalie, we can't hear you very well. Can you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I said I really appreciate the presentation, and right now I really need all the help I can. Everything you say is true. It happened to me. It happened. So I'm trying to get out of that hole. Trying for the last 4 or 5 months. It's not helping. It's not going anywhere.
Yes, I know.
That's why I say when I saw your flyer, I said I won't miss that. I need to find a time to sit down and listen, so it can boost me a little bit. So
yes, and we will get back to work, Natalie. So Natalie, your permission, I would say, Natalie has been I've been coaching, I've been working with Natalie for a while. And here is an example of what I say I have failed. I have failed Natalie because she did not get to that 5-point mark where she was completely in flow.
Yes, that's true.
Between us, I lost my dad, you lost your mom, Gwen has lost her mom. I mean, all those things will take us back if you're not in flow. So we really need to be able to get to that point where challenges, we succumb challenges and actually use it for the benefit of our health. So yeah, Natalie, I promise I will do better. Gwen, you have a question.
Yes, Coach Nat, glad to have you again on the platform. It's been long overdue. Natalie already said we're all falling apart. I can emphasize. And the past 2 months for me has been
tough. I know.
We try to keep the forte on with Sister Irene and all of us working out and stuff, but we fell apart. So thanks to having you back.
Yes,
and
we will.
My question is, how do we combat slow metabolism? Oh my God, I think when it's to the menopausal age, kind of really hard. You do all the right things that I know I've learned from my one and only Coach Nat, and it's not helping. So I don't know if you have ideas that you can help us today with that answer. I will appreciate it.
Yes, I think we all need to get back on the playground, right? We need to all get back and just start from scratch and really do it right this time. This is the story. This is everybody's story. This is not Gwen's story. This is not Natalie's story. This is not Marie Noel's story. This is all of our stories. We have all gone through very hard times. And it is only normal for us to fall. But we need to wake up. We need to get back and start again. Gwen, the first thing is, what is your why? Why do you want to do it? I would say take a week and just think through that, because that's going to guide you through these 5 years coming. What is that why? Why do you want to do this? It must be something that's coming from your soul. And once we get that why, we can all work together and nurture it. I mean, if we are getting back together in this coach family relationship, we have to spend time talking to each other a lot more. We have to have, I know there are motivational groups right now that actually insist that people should get some sort of watch, some sort of device that would actually we can actually reach to that point where if you are having those triggers that make you do the wrong thing, we can start watching it and making sure that we direct you to other things, right? So it has to be almost like a day-to-day thing with your coach. And it's going to require a lot of empathy from me. It's going to require a lot of empathy from your sweet husband. It's going to require all of us working together. It's going to require all of us cleaning that refrigerator and getting the things out, changing our programs, making sure we sleep well, really just all those things that make you get depressed, right? And there's been a lot that will make us get depressed during this pandemic. So let's try and turn everything around for our health. The only motivation that I can say that exercise and nutrition and mindfulness, the biggest motivation is your health.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you all so much. It's almost 12:23. Are there any other questions? If there are no other questions, let's call it. And I wish you all a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you again. This is recorded. I will share it out so we can share with our family members and friends.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Sure. Bye-bye.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Great job. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Sure. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Do a good job.
Bye.
So good.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Adeline. Thank you, Flora.
Thank you.
Phil.
Thank you.
Boy, everybody
You
was.
know, I will always be there.
I know.
Although I joined
Thank
late.
you.
Me too.
You're welcome.
Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much, Nagella. This was very informative. Thank you.
Thank you,
so
Mom.
much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.